Brian Jennings did what he was supposed to do. He didn't get knocked out. He made a lot of new fans. And also he, you can say, exposed, in a way, we'll talk about it, Wladimir Klitschko. But let's listen. And rewind it. We're here live, real time. This is how I'm doing my videos now. Like as soon as they announce the winner, hit record. So they're going to talk about the punch stats. We're going to talk about the fight on T Street Controversy with RealCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.
Final copy box numbers. Wladimir Klitschko landing 34 more punches and throwing considerably more, 169 more punches than did Brian Jennings. Jennings landing at the slightly higher connect percentage, 29%. Partially that reflects the fact that he was mostly targeting Klitschko's large body, while Klitschko was mostly targeting Jennings' moving head. Power shots, Klitschko landing 52. Only one of them, to my memory, was a body shot. The rest of them all upstairs. Jennings landing 94. The vast majority of them were body shots. And
52 of 162 power punches for Klitschko. 52.
Particularly close on the inside. Here is the punch zone graphic that shows you where the punches landed, and there's the disparity we were discussing. Klitschko landing a total of 6 counted body punches during the fight, whereas Brian Jennings landed 83 of those. Klitschko landing 138 punches upstairs on Jennings, and Jennings landing 26 times upstairs on Wladimir Klitschko. So once again, Wladimir Klitschko comes to Madison Square Garden and holds on to.
We're going to wait for the post-fight interviews, and then we're going to talk about the fight. Once again, please subscribe. Visit RealCombatMedia.com. First link in the description box.
A tough win. He seemed to give you more problems in this fight, though you won by a wide margin, than we're used to seeing you get in the ring. How was he able to do that, do you think?
Very competitive opponent that I faced in the recent years, absolutely. Great hand speed, great footwork, very athletic, great desire to win the fight and be champion. He has been even talking between the rounds and trying to making Ali Fraser the opposite way while he was talking. So you gave me a great challenge. Congratulations. I think you're gonna give in the heavy division a lot of good challenges to the next fights as well. So good job. Thank you.
You didn't seem to be throwing your right hand as much as we anticipated. You used the jab a lot, not a lot of hooks, and really not a lot of right hands. Is your right hand okay?
My right hand is okay. Brian didn't give me a chance to throw the right hand as much as I wanted. It has to do probably with also feeling style, same like Eddie Chambers, where a lot of body movement to keep me off balance and get me closer distance.
His camp made a big deal before the fight about you clinching. The referee wound up taking a point eventually. How did that affect your fight?
It is what it is. I don't want any complaints. Sometimes when fighter is shorter than you, things like that happens, and then the judgment must be by the referee, and that's how he did too.
We were talking ringside about whether next or in the future at some point, considering his limited experience and the performance he put on, whether you'd be interested in doing that again, would you?
Do again what?
With Brian Jennings.
Well, I can see challenge where I'm going to say that was so tight that we need to fight again. And as a champion, you have a lot of obligations. I think that's the only free title defense it was. And now I have to do all the mandatory defenses.
That is true.
You just
came off a
fight on American TV on HBO where you scored a spectacular knockout. Now you're coming off a tough-fought win in Madison Square Garden, in a almost sold-out Madison Square Garden. How do you feel about fighting in this country again and connecting with the American fans?
I feel great to be back after 7 years break. I love to fight here. Fans all over the world love to come also to the States and, for example, in New York, and see the fight at the Garden. Absolutely great experience. I want to say thank you very much to every every spectator that came here for Jennings and also for Klitschko. I hope you enjoyed the 12th round fight.
Thanks, champ. Brian Jennings, hard to imagine that 6 years after you pick up the sport, you go in with a dominant heavyweight champion of the world and not only go 12 rounds, but win some rounds and make it interesting. How did you do it?
Well, it's that confidence that they all question me about. You know, I'm a man and he's a man, and when we get in between these four squares, that's what we're here to do. This is a sport, and we come to fight, and we come to put it all on the line.
He has no damage on his face, Brian Jennings. No damage.
Nevertheless, as
no damage, literally.
That you've come so far so fast, he did win the majority of the rounds and won by a fairly comfortable decision there, even with the point deduction. What did you learn from this experience?
Well, if you actually look at it, I think I was getting off just as much when he was holding 4 or 5 shots to the body. I know I let off maybe about 100 right hooks to the body. Wasn't a lot of face shots. You know, I wasn't really focused on the face because, you know, his prevent is, you know, is pretty effective. But I was landing shots and I was taking whatever he threw. Did he hurt me? Maybe. But I went in there and I did what I was supposed to do, and I think that the scorecards was way off. I think it was maybe a bit closer to fight. Probably could have went either way. The way I felt as though I didn't get hurt. You know, I was throwing punches as well, so I felt as though it should have been a little closer. That wide margin was I don't agree with that.
Thanks, Brian Jennings. Impressive performance. Jim?
All right, thanks very much. Well,
we're gonna go over the punch stats numbers again. To be honest, okay, look at it like this. Not getting knocked out. Not getting knocked out is kind of like a win. I know it's a defeat, but it's kind of like a win. Like looking at his face, like he can go out to the club tonight and you wouldn't even know that he was in the fight. Now, of course, Wladimir Klitschko being Ukrainian, you can see the red marks on his face, and he had a little small cut under his his left eye, but you know he got a little scar tissue under there anyway. What I'm waiting for right now is we're going to go over the punch stat numbers. We're going to go over what's probably next for Brian Jennings, and we're going to go over definitely what's next for Wladimir Klitschko, who retains his WBO, IBO, WBA Super World, WBA Regular, and the what belt did I miss? The IBF heavyweight title. The only heavyweight title that he does not have. So let's go over the punch stats. The only heavyweight title that he does not have is held by Deontay Wilder, who is sitting in the audience, and Deontay Wilder holds the WBC. So total punches, total 12 rounds, 144 landed. 545 thrown, 26% for Wladimir Klitschko. Brian Jennings, 110 landed, 376 thrown, 29% for Brian Jennings. So even though Wladimir landed 34 more punches, Jennings threw less and was more accurate. Now let's go to, you know, the put it this way, Brian Jennings, you can tell by the way Wladimir Klitschko keeps his jab extended. Brian Jennings only landed 26 shots to the head. He could not get in on the inside as far as you know, doing work upstairs. And if he would have kept swinging, doing work upstairs, if you noticed, if you didn't watch the fight, he was lunging quite a bit, trying to get hooks in up the top. You know, not straights too much. And I noticed that he was always, not always, but majority of the time, off balance when he was trying to be a headhunter. You know, the few times he was. But then when it came to the body, his body work was efficient to the point where you can tell later on in the fight, it seems as though it started taking a little bit of a toll on Klitschko, because Klitschko started to be, I guess you could say, a little more evasive, not running, but evasive to an extent, to the point where I can tell he felt those body shots. And watching in 47 inches high definition, I know it's not that large, but I'm sitting right here in a small room where I would record my videos, and his body was red. So total power punches, 52 of 162, 32% for Wladimir Klitschko. 94 of 285 for Brian Jennings. Now remember, only 26 of those, landed to the head. Now we're not talking about jabs. Now Wladimir Klitschko, right? He couldn't find his straight right hand. He probably connected cleanly with that straight right hand 3 times. I'm talking about cleanly. 3 times in the whole fight. Yeah, some of them getting through, but I'm talking about the devastating ones, and Brian Jennings took them well. Like I said earlier in the video, looking at his face, he can go to the club tonight. So did Brian Jennings win the fight? No, in my opinion, no, he didn't. Did he do what he was supposed to do as far as help his career and not get knocked out? Yes, he did. And in fact, he has some new fans, and it's 2 questions you have to ask. Did he expose Wladimir Klitschko? Or did Wladimir Klitschko, is he looking old? Okay, 3. Or the fact that the clinching was addressed before the fight, and the referee warned Klitschko, you got to stop holding, I'm going to take a point. And then Klitschko altered his holding to an extent to whereas he wouldn't like blatantly hold, but what he'll do is he'll wrap the arm up and then lean like this on you, like with his hands down. So he's very smart and crafty and savvy in that way. But it was good to see a point taken from him, and it was good to see Klitschko adjust and be able to fight and win still, even though it was more difficult with all of that holding and clinching bullshit. Now let's talk about what's next for Klitschko. He is right. A rematch with Brian Jennings, it cannot happen right now because that was his free defense. So what he did was he beat the #1 contender to Deontay Wilder's belt, which technically should make him the WBC Silver Champion, #1 contender. I mean, after all, they did it with Sergey Kovalev and Jean Pascal, even though that was the diamond belt, but still basically means the same thing. And I'm wondering now what Klitschko is going to do next. His mandatory before he does anything has to be Tyson Fury. WBO for the WBO. Tyson Fury is 6'9", about 240 pounds. Very, very, very good underestimated boxer. Also, he could sell. Like if that fight would have happened in the United States, which it won't. We're gonna talk about it at a later date. It will sell. Because dude can talk, and also he can really, really fight. So using this fight as a measuring stick, if you take care of the clinching thing from Klitschko and know how to fight against that, if the referee is not on your side, then right now Wladimir Klitschko is looking very, very vulnerable. And I'm not sure if it was Brian Jennings himself who did that. Well, of course it was Brian Jennings who made him look vulnerable, but also when the holding issue was taken care of, it's a different fight. If the holding situation is taken care of with the 39-year-old man who has now made his 18th title defense, 25 for Joe Louis, and I forgot who was #2. I'm supposed to know this, but it's getting late. Well, anyway, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I was denied credentials, even though I provided full coverage. The press conference, over the press conference, media day, interview with Brian Jennings, so on, so on, so on. I won't have these issues in the future. I will not allow these issues to happen in the future. Now, it's a shame because I've been hearing some things on why I got denied. And it has nothing to do with my work. It has something to do with other things, and some other issues were pointed out to me that I didn't know of before. And I'm thinking like, oh no, you can do that to my other people, but you're not going to do it to me. So I can't go into details, but put it this way: if you know who was in charge of the credentials for the fight, then you should have a better understanding. So I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to still be professional and humble about it, but at this point in time, as far as business is concerned, I'm putting my foot down, and I'm not going to allow it to happen again, especially the fact that when it comes to Wladimir Klitschko's last fight, I have well over 150,000 views for that video. When it comes to Brian Jennings interviews, I have the #1 interview with him on YouTube. It's about 2 minutes long, about 6,800 views, and it's just like, my channel, I'm not going to go spitting numbers at you, but it shouldn't have happened, and I'm not going to allow it to happen again. I'm T Street Controversy with RealCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.